Okay. Relics.
Think back to your high school history class. Holy shit, Jackie, this is big. This is really big. You know how the siphon of the Angelus was designed to hold the darkness? Well, this is the prism of the brothers, and it's meant to hold the Angelus. After the darkness escaped the siphon, the Brotherhood vanished for a long time. So long, in fact, it was believed that they disbanded. But no.
Wait, no, shit.
Holy shit.
No, stop, I wanna... There we go.
Holy shit, Jackie, this is big. This is really big. You know how the siphon of the Angelus was designed to hold the darkness? Well, this is the prism of the brothers, and it's meant to hold the Angelus. After the darkness escaped the siphon, the Brotherhood vanished for a long time. So long, in fact, it was believed that they disbanded. But no, the siphon of the Angelus had been lost to them. Without it, they couldn't make good on their plan to shroud the world in darkness. Instead, they decided to burn the world with light, so they built this. When the darkness in Angelus re-emerged during World War II, the Brotherhood was waiting for them. Don't ask me how, because I sure as hell got no idea, but the Brotherhood defeated the Angelus, trapping her inside the prison. Okay? Where, according to legend, she remains today. But here's the thing, Jackie. I'm looking at this prism right now, and I'm not picking up a thing. No holy essence, no dark magic, nothing. The Angelus is not inside the prism. In fact, it never even touched it. If I can be honest, this scares the living fuck out of me. The Angelus has not been seen on our world in 70 years. We thought it was because she was trapped in this. But she's not, Jackie. She's still out there. Where the fuck is she?
And Jenny, just like I fucking called it. I'm gonna cut the face cam so that there's no issues. Please hang on one moment. Thank you. Well, this is your pilot speaking once again, and we're going to continue with these beautiful relics. Not found.
Wow, okay, shit, where do I start? What you got here is the first. As you can guess by its name, this thing goes way back. Like, way back, to the beginning. You're a good Catholic boy, so I know you remember the story of Cain and Abel, how Abel was like, oh, God loves me, and Cain was like, jealousy, wham, and killed him with this. That's right, you're the new proud owner of murder stick #1, so congrats, I guess. Now, the story goes that God was so pissed that he marked Cain. Set him walking the earth forever, unable to die, but that's only half true. See, Cain brought murder into our world, back in when it was, still new and teeming with free-range evil. This made him a target for certain dark influences, if you catch my emphasis. Even if Cain was a brother-murdering jackass, God wasn't going to let the darkness run a train on him. So, he made Cain unkillable. As you know, the darkness deals in death. If Cain couldn't die, the darkness couldn't take him. Not a bad move on God's part. But God doesn't just hand out free prizes, especially for murdering your brother. So, he set Cain to a task, cleaning up all that leftover darkness from before creation. Unfortunately for Cain, unkillable did not mean immortal, but that's a different story altogether.
Oh, I completely forgot to scroll down the rest way. I'm sorry.
Ooh, the Deceiver's Grasp. The third most infamous glove of all time, right behind the sparkly one and the one that didn't fit. And the Deceiver's Grasp was designed to be used in conjunction with the Abysmal Maw. If you don't know, the Maw was a mystical hand cannon that shot pure hellfire, but consumed the user's soul in the process. It only took a few thousand damage before someone got the idea to protect themselves from the Maw's side effects, and so the Deceiver's Grasp was forged as a sort of damnation contraceptive for your hand. Current theory holds that the Brotherhood created the glove, which would make sense, since it employs a rather nasty bit of transference magic. See, when laced with the blood of another living person, the glove allows you to wield the Maw without having your soul burnt away, whereas the poor sap whose blood you used will spend eternity cozied up beside the fires of hell. Come to think of it, a better name for this thing would have been the asshole's bait and switch, or my slimy brother Ted. Doesn't sound as ominous, I admit, but it's just so damn accurate.
Well, we know who has a slimy brother named Ted.
You can't tell by looking at it, but this simple strip of iron is one of the worst torture devices ever devised. It's one of the 12 infamous purification rituals used by the Brotherhood the first time they ever tried to steal the darkness. The Brotherhood simply referred to it as the Fourth, but over time it earned the name the Silent Night. It's easy to see why. Long time ago, the Brotherhood stole a darkness host at birth. They then raised him as one of their own, only to torture and kill him in an attempt to force the darkness out. This strip was forced into that unfortunate host's mouth, keeping it open. It was then wrapped around his jaw, leaving a slit where his tongue was inserted. The gag was then slowly tightened. The first thing it did was slice off the host's tongue. But then the gag was tightened further, and it completely shattered and dislocated his jaw. You think that's horrible? Keep in mind, the host had yet to manifest the darkness. He didn't know what he was. The Brotherhood had raised him since birth to believe he was one of their own. Imagine, the only family you've ever known subjecting you to the most painful, degrading acts they can imagine, and they don't even tell you why. I don't want to sound like I'm going soft, but it seems to me like that'd be the worst torture of all. Anyway, the darkness manifested right as the host's jaw snapped. They say it killed every person within a league of the Brotherhood's monastery that day. Then, the host vanished, never to be seen again. We don't even know his name. Listen, I'm gonna tell you about this particular relic, but you gotta promise me something. No matter what I tell you, you can't let this get weird, okay? Okay? Okay.
What?
This is the reliquary of the Blessed Blood. It is said to contain a relic of untold worth, an object of unfathomable holiness, a preserved piece of flesh from the Messiah himself. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the foreskin of Jesus Christ. Except, here's the thing. There is someone's foreskin inside this reliquary. It just didn't belong to the holy member. It actually belonged to a guy named Miles from South Hamiltonshire. Don't ask how I know this. I just do. I'm an occultist, all right?
Okay.
Just forget about the foreskin. The foreskin is a distraction. There was nothing important about the foreskin, and we should both just forget it ever happened.
Then shut up.
Moving on. The container is what's so important here, okay? See, the darkness isn't the only power the Brotherhood wants to harness. They're just as interested in the Angelus. This reliquary was their first attempt to create a vessel that could hold the Angelus. It was a total failure. All it did was piss off the Angelus, and when she's pissed, she does like to burn things. Still, there's dark magic in here. Magic best hidden from certain people. And turning it into a impossibly ridiculous foreskin holder was a good way to do that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go scrub my memory with bleach and steel wool. Oh, you'll appreciate this, being a former altar boy and all, I assume. And this is the head of Pope John the 12th. Well, the shrunken head. At least, I hope it's been shrunk. If not, then I imagine he had trouble wearing his Pope hat. Anyways, turns out Lil John here was the only darkness host to ever become Pope, which would explain why he's considered one of the worst popes of all time, though, ironically, not one of the worst hosts. You'd think the darkness would have used the papacy to run rampant, but honestly, John the 12th spent most of his time disemboweling his deacons and boning up on the ladies. Actually, never mind. Now that I think about it, he did summon a few not-so-minor lust demons into the Vatican, then turned it into a brothel. And by brothel, I mean charnel house, a.k.a. place where dead bodies are dug up and stored after their graves are more or less desecrated. So, yeah, Pope John XII was a huge dick, in more ways than one. Small side note, I have it on good authority that 3 of those demons are still around doing their thing. So, do yourself a favor and never take a naked tour of the Sistine Chapel. Not that they offer one, still, just don't.
Interesting.
Okay, Jackie, time for a quick history lesson. Buddhism was founded by Siddhartha Gautama. I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation, just go with it. Siddhartha led an extraordinary life, but for our purposes, his death is what's important. History says Siddhartha announced his imminent death at the age of 80. Immediately after making this announcement, he ate his last meal. It was an offering made by a blacksmith. Siddhartha then became ill and died. Obviously, there was more to it, but I'm not here to teach Religion 101. Those are the main points. Before dying, Siddhartha made sure his followers knew that the blacksmith had nothing to do with his death, because, from all accounts, Siddhartha was a pretty stand-up guy. Unfortunately, he was way off on this one. The blacksmith totally poisoned him. And that's not all. He also gave Siddhartha water from his pitcher. This pitcher. As you can guess, this is no normal pitcher. This pitcher works like a soul pump. Drinking out of it creates a mystical vacuum inside the jar. Stop drinking, and your soul is whooshed into the clay, where it remains until the magic is broken. The magic on this relic is unbelievably strong. It's held for over 2,000 years. And that's why this relic has earned the name Siddhartha's Tears, because Siddhartha is still trapped inside. Who'd do such a thing to such a nice guy like Siddhartha? I think you already know. The darkness is the enemy of peace and unity. Its wrath is not always violent, but it is cold and unyielding. Just like Siddhartha's tears. Or the Red Sox.
I love this, like, dumb little things like that.
Ah, the crescent of the sun, considered by many to be the greatest mystery and biggest letdown of the past millennium. You know, if you don't count Rocky V. The crescent was wielded by the Angelus approximately 800 years ago for half an hour. She claimed it was forged from a single drop of the sun's flame, that it would bring about the final end of the darkness. What she forgot to mention, however, is how the crescent would do this, which is important because she never got a chance to use it. Carrying it into battle against the darkness, she was immediately disemboweled. A bit anticlimactic for sure, but it only gets worse. A few years later, the crescent was rediscovered by a holy warrior. Once again, the blade was wielded against the darkness. This time, it even managed to get a few good swings. But you know what? The blade passed through the darkness, like a knife through water. Later, after monks recovered the crescent from the warrior's corpse, it was tested against multiple targets. Turns out the blade passes through all matter. People, stone, trees, kittens, just whoosh, goes right through. No harm, no foul. Could be only the Angelus can wield the crescent, but if so, why has she never tried to reclaim it? Personally, I think the Angelus talked a big game. It was just as surprised as everyone else when the crescent turned out to be worthless. Which begs the question, where did the crescent come from? I got no idea. But I hope she kept the receipt. Okay. Jeez. First off, holy shit. Second, do you know what these are?
No.
These are Af and Hema. That ring any bells? No? Okay. Well, then let me put it this way. There are 6 angels of death. You are currently holding 2 of them.
What?
Yeah. Okay. Their names are Af and Hema. Roughly, they translate to wrath and anger. It was on the 7th level of heaven that God bound Af and Hema with chains of fire and shadow, which was no small feat, mind you. These weren't your run-of-the-mill chubby cherubs. You know, the Af and Hema were roughly the size of a large volcano and packed 10 times the firepower. All right. Then again, God being God, you know, I guess it wasn't really a fair fight. But whatever. I'm getting off topic. Okay. As the story goes, the Angelus asked God for a weapon to aid her war against the darkness. God was in a giving mood that day, so he reforged Af and Hema into the flames of creation, all right? Tempering them down into blades. These blades, these right here. Now, some say the angels are still alive within the blades, and I tend to agree. Try all you like, but you can't separate them. Try taking only one of them out of this room. It might slip out of your hand, or you might just drop dead of a stroke. Now, you never know, but they will not be parted. We're talking peanut butter and jelly. Ham and cheese level of commitment here, man. Somewhere, somehow, Af and Hema are still bound by the chains of fire and shadow.
Interesting.
I hope you're not in a good mood, because if you are, I promise this is gonna shit all over it. This is the Lantern of St. Anthony, possibly the most misidentified item ever created. I don't mean people look at this lamp and say, that is a very luminescent club sandwich. What I mean is, most people see this lantern as a symbol of hope, but really, it's a symbol of soul-crushing despair. Now, the outer casing is only 80 years old, but the light inside the lantern goes back, about 1,000 years. In her war against the darkness, the Angelus sought an ever-burning light. She gathered the souls of 100 children butchered by the darkness, and bound them within a glass sphere. This combined lightness of being produced a blindingly powerful light, but only when the dead children felt like it. Turns out kids are fickle little bitches. The Angelus abandoned the sphere, totally apathetic towards the children still trapped inside. The sphere remained lost for quite some time until it was discovered by St. Anthony, the patron saint of lost things. Go figure! Anthony fastened it onto a lantern, believing it to be a gift from God. He was convinced the light would guide a traveler home, but usually it just led them over a cliff or into a bog. So yeah, St. Anthony used this lantern to unknowingly kill hundreds of innocent travelers, all because the Angelus thought the imprisoned souls of murdered children would make a cool weapon. Yay! Jackie, let me introduce you to Enoch, great-great-great-great-grandson of Adam, great-grandfather to Noah, and the only guy who knows how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. I'm sure he'd say hi, but as you can see, he's dead. Enoch's a special guy. If not for him, we'd only know a teeny-tiny little smidgen of what we do about heaven, hell, and all those weebly-wobbly bits in between. How did he learn all this stuff? Well, if you read the Bible, it says that Enoch walked with God. What does that mean? Fuck if I know! I don't know, the Bible doesn't say. It just says, poof, no more Enoch. Next verse. This is why I don't read the Bible. I do, however, read the secret histories. And it's there that we learn Enoch actually ascended to heaven, where he apparently took some night classes, because the next time we see him, he's back on Earth, busy being the world's foremost expert on all things occult and supernatural. Do you know how many other people have been invited to heaven just for a visit? 0! Seriously, they loved him up there. So much, in fact, that upon his death, a heavenly host descended from the clouds simply to inscribe his skull with the language of angels. That's the markings you see. No one has ever been able to decipher them. But when the skull is placed in absolute darkness, the markings emit a faint singing noise, which is kind of a cool thing.
Yes, it is. Wait, does that mean that when it's... like, if they had that when he was alive in his head, then he would, like, forever hear... Oh, that sounds, like, horrible, actually. I'm just gonna... I think I
You know,
saw
this
this
isn't
one.
the first time the Brotherhood has tried to take the darkness.
Yeah, we've seen this one. This is the eye one.
This is, well, it's a thumbscrew.
I've seen it.
You know, the darkness didn't come from the cradle of civilization. The darkness came from nowhere. Which, if you follow the Rothfusian or Rothfussian, I say Rothfussian, okay? Theory, it means the darkness also comes from everywhere.
I think we've done this one too.
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed.
This one also.
I've waited years to see one of these. 7... Okay, I'm looking at this, and what I'm seeing is the Chime of Deliverance. But, and mind you, this is a small but. All records of the chime say it was destroyed
Yes,
along
seen
with...
it.
Whoa, hold up. Whoa. Whatever you do
it.
for the... Oh, wow. You seriously have a copy of the True Revelation? I'm impressed, Jackie. Didn't peg you as the reading type. To call this book rare would be laughable. Magic swords, true love, steak. These things are rare. The True Revelation is one of a kind. I'm not exaggerating. Every copy is completely different. See, the True Revelation is actually the Revelation of John, the Bible's explosive summer blockbustering finale. There are 3 schools of thought about the Revelation. The first believes it is a literal prophecy.
Okay, we've heard this one
retarded.
too. And we've heard this one. So, that's all of the relics that I got throughout the game. So, yeah. Woohoo!